Hey folks, welcome back to this edition of Ben's Bits. Last week we discussed if an investor's tolerances affect the approach of either cutting their losses or standing firm, fighting it out, and living to fight another day. But it's centered around the position that a lot of investors find themselves in because they see their portfolios suffering massive losses from a lot of different areas. And while, yes, there is a lot of misinformation out there. In fact, it seems to be hitting them from many different angles, and they really don't see how they can get themselves out of the situations that they find themselves in. At least, when we mentioned in that video, we're seeing a big rise in investors weighing out their options in light of how their portfolios are taking huge hits. But as many of you know, we have a lot of helpful ways that we can help see if there is a play to be made. And we welcome any contact you feel is necessary for you. And we'll certainly see if we can help you. But as most of you know, we're fairly confident with the many options available that there most likely is a way to help. But that said, this week we wanted to discuss a topic that in a way ties into your retirement plans and whether you should cut loose or continue to drag along. Of course, I'm talking about what should be called the boomerang generation. And just to be clear, I'm talking in jest and bringing a little levity to the topic, but there is a big topic here, and I'm sure many of you are dealing with it. Before we go much further, for those of you who may not really know what we're talking about, there's a trend occurring where young adults are moving back in with their parents because of the state of the economy and the rental market. And it's called the boomerang effect, or boomeranging back home. And I certainly won't insult your intelligence as to how the name came about, but it's worth mentioning that it's at least statistics that we're seeing is 1 out of 4 young adults are doing it in most parts of the country. And in some areas, it's much higher. And while at first glance it may not seem like a big deal, there was a statistic that I read somewhere that over 10% of parents found it to be a burden, and nearly 25% of parents, instead of downsizing, are now looking to upscale to meet the need of their child moving back in. But what's really telling is that 15% of parents have to delay retirement because they need to provide financial help. Now look, we're all for helping family out, and quite frankly, you should if you have the means. But what we're really speaking to is putting yourself in a position to be able to weather that storm if it ends up being something that you're going to have to deal with. And you don't want to get caught in a position where you'll have to delay retirement because that boomerang hit your finances and it took too big of a chunk out of it. Now, the question you want to ask yourself is something like that happen, if it's happening to me, could I still retire when I want to and outlive the account? If not, we need to take another look. So that's it for this edition of Ben's Bits. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.